So well, friends, we are to discuss one of the most important parts relating to pragmatism. On the today's class will be the last class relating to all the contents of pragmatism, which is one of the most important branches of Western philosophy. Friends, we are in very critical stage because of the attack of COVID-19. Therefore, all of you are to study staying at home, maintaining social distance, and therefore all the contents of most of the classes or all the classes are to be well studied by you, and by scrutinizing the contents, I am certain that your perception or your ideas relating to various important aspects of education will be quite clear. Let us come back to today's class. Pragmatism and methods of teaching means we discuss about the concept of pragmatism, the specialities of the pragmatic school of philosophy, or the characteristics of pragmatism. We discuss about the philosophers who have linked with the school of pragmatism. We have also discussed in detail about pragmatism on the curriculum, pragmatism on the aims of education. All these are well discussed. And in today's class, we are to complete our discussion relating to all the most important or significant parameters or aspects of the school of pragmatism. When we say as method of teaching, we mean so many things. Methods of teaching, particularly the concept of the methods of teaching, differ according to various branches of or the various schools of philosophy. Pragmatism is totally an action-oriented philosophy. It puts importance on scientific knowledge. Pragmatism emphasizes on practice. Therefore, at the time of discussion relating to the methods of teaching, the views of pragmatism are totally different. Teaching as per this school of philosophy means pragmatism should be very practical. Means instead of going to the class, depending on the contents of the lesson which we are to discuss, simply by delivering lectures before the students is not sufficient. Teaching should be quite participatory. The students or the learners should get the chance to take part in the process of teaching, so that teaching become much practical. Means instead of delivering lecture in the class, by going to the class, the teacher should have to give the chance to the learners to put questions, and thenceforth teachers are to give the chance to the learners to take part in the process of learning, so that teaching becomes much practical and learning become totally systematic and scientific. It should induce, means teaching should induce learning very effectively. Learning should be effective. Learning should be joyful. Learning should be participatory. The participation of the learners in the process of learning is very much important for becoming learning much practical. And pragmatism puts importance on this most important parameter. Teaching should make learning joyful. Learning should not be monotonous. Learning should not be stressful. Students are to get the chance to learn in stress-free situation. They should have to have the chance to put question for the satisfaction of their inquisitive or for their curiosity. Teaching should encourage the application of self-experience of the students as well as the self-experience of the teachers. It should base on the practical experience of life of this teacher as well as of the learners. To make teaching very effective means teaching should be quite effective. Teaching should be quite practical. Teaching as per the perception or the views of pragmatism should be life-oriented. Teaching should be action-oriented. Teaching should be scientific. And for doing so means when you are to write in the examination relating to the views of pragmatism concerning to teaching, then you can make some points even by scrutinizing or by studying the contents. To make teaching very effective, practical, life-oriented, action-oriented and scientific, the following methods should be followed as per the pragmatism. It means you can, in your examination, write that from the standpoint of pragmatism, teaching should be very effective. From the viewpoint of pragmatism, teaching should be practical. From the standpoint of pragmatism, teaching should be life-oriented. Teaching should be action-oriented, and the teaching should be scientific. And for doing teaching or for helping to make teaching quite, you say, effective, practical, life-oriented, action-oriented and scientific, the methods which are to be followed in the classroom situation by the teachers are these. Learning by doing should be encouraged in the classroom situation. Students are to get the chance to learn by involving themselves in the process of learning. And that's why when I started to discuss, I told you, I have informed you that, you see, learning and teaching both should be participatory. The participation of the learners in the classroom situation is very much important. And that's why learning by doing method should be followed. And friends, whenever you try to understand the history of this most important process or method of learning, you will get that, you will come to know that it was Rousseau, the great naturalist, who favored learning by doing procedure or method in the process of acquisition of knowledge. At the same time, by studying the philosophy of Gandhi, even you can come to know about this most important, you see, method of teaching or method of learning. Gandhi's basic education totally depended on the principle of learning by doing. And that's why learning by doing should be encouraged, and this should be followed by the teacher to teach various subject contents of different subjects. Number 2, teaching should depend on experience of the teachers and students. At the time of, you see, explaining the concept of education, the great pragmatic as well as the great American educationist John Dewey. Dewey defined education as reconstruction and reconstitution of experiences. Means education is such a process with the help of which we, the human learners, our students, reconstruct their experiences for facing life challenges. They are to reconstitute their experiences so that they can apply their knowledge in the practical field of life. And that's why it is explained this way, that teaching should depend on experience of the teachers and students. And here in this point, for your clarification, I should better say that this experience is, it is said by the great educationists of the world that experience is the best teacher of our life. Experience is the best teacher of the life of the students. When we learn depending on the experiences of life, our learning becomes much practical. Number 3, teaching should be purposive. Means teaching should be purposive. It must have some objectives, and learning should be practical. For the practicalization of the objectives, teachers should impart teaching to the students, and they are to learn practically by involving in the process. And that's why pragmatism puts importance on teaching, puts importance on purposive learning and practical learning, purposive teaching and practical learning. Let us see the next one. Number 4, correlation of studies should be encouraged and integration of knowledge should get priority. This is one of the most important methods which pragmatism favors. And in today's field of education, you have seen that we have come to know about integrated learning. Learning should integrate the most important contents of various subjects according to the demands of our life. Even by being a student of physics, you can learn philosophy if you feel the necessity or demand. By being the student of political science, you can learn about biology, because learning should be life-oriented and there should be integrity among the contents of learning. And this method was favored, or pragmatism favored on this method, or favors on this. There should be correlation of various subjects. Interrelationship should be there. By studying political science, you certainly can acquire knowledge about geography, because without knowing about the geographical situation of a country, you never can understand the political exercises of a particular nation. Therefore, there should be correlation in the process of teaching as well as in the process of learning. Number 5, project methods should be followed to impart practical and experience-based education. Students are to be given project so that they can involve themselves, and by applying their resource knowledge, means by applying their inquisitiveness, intuition into a particular or a specific area of importance, they can find out new realities concerning to various problems they face. And therefore, pragmatism puts importance on project method of teaching as well as learning. And that is why in present situation, in all stages, in all levels, project learning has become one of the most important QC segments of the total process of learning, even from the lower class to the university levels. Number 6, life experiences should be thoughtfully used and self-learning should be encouraged. We certainly, by studying psychology, come to know that there are individual differences. Once we consider from the standpoint of the capabilities of learning, means our mental properties are genetically transmitted properties, and as our genetic histories differ, therefore there are differences of our intelligence or intellectual capabilities, And as per the differences of the intelligence as well as mental attributes and capabilities as well as qualities, our learning capacities also differ. Learning capabilities of the students in the classroom situation are not equal. They do not learn equally by following equal approach or equal procedure. Therefore, pragmatism has put importance on life experiences at the time of learning or as the teaching method and self-learning. We are to encourage self-learning simply by imparting knowledge to the students, by coming to know or by knowing about their potentialities. We should better encourage them to learn much depending on their own experience of life as well as involving themselves in very practically in the process of learning. Number 7, learning should be research oriented. Friends, in the field of research, in the field of higher education, research has special importance because with the help of research is a very systematic process for the understanding, for the reporting of realities of various problems, various phenomena we encounter, various situations we face, and various things, beings, matters, events of this very complex and mysterious universe. And with the help of the process of research, we can add new knowledge with the existing stock of knowledge. Research is a way with the help of which new knowledge can be reported. Research is a process with the help of which new knowledge can be added with the existing stock of knowledge according to the changed demand of life and changed demand of the knowledge market. Therefore, friends, in the teaching process, teaching should be quite research-based. And research-based means teaching should be quite scientific and practical. Students are to involve or they are to, engaged in the process of learning by applying their own intellectual capabilities and mental potentialities, intuition, insight, and all types of higher mental attributes. This way, in the field of education, the roles of teachers are very important, friends. Teachers are the makers of men. They are the watchdog of human civilization. Teachers are the transformer of human social structure. Teachers are the transformer of the economy of a nation. Teachers should act as the friend. They are to be the friend of the students, philosophers of the students, and guide of the students. Instead of becoming teacher, instead of trying to establish authority over the learners, teachers should be quite, friendly nature of the teacher is very much important for understanding the capabilities of the students. And that's why in the process of learning, teachers should be the friends of the students, they are to be the philosophers of the students, and they are to be the guides of the students. Teachers are to be the observers of the learning process of the learners. Simply as a research guide, as a research supervisor, teachers are to observe the learning capabilities and the processes. Once you give freedom to the students in the classroom situation, then you will see so many innovative approaches which will be followed by the students to solve a specific or a particular problem. And this is important because without innovation, nothing new takes place. Therefore, pragmatism has put importance on innovative approaches as well as practical learning. Teachers are to be the creators of environments of learning. You needn't to teach in the classroom situation, psychology informs. The basic duty of the teacher in the classroom situation is simply to create proper as well as conducive environment of learning. And once you become as a teacher successful in creating proper environment of learning, students will learn as per their own capabilities, at per their own pace and speed. And this is very much important for, helping students learn practically, learn by enjoying the learning situation. You see, being totally free from monotony as well as stress in learning. Teachers are to encourage the natural tendency and inclination of inquiry. This is very much important, inquiry. Constructiveness, communication, artistic expression, etc. of the students. It means teachers are to always, encourage creativity for innovative learning. Students are to be the active participators in the process of learning. Learning should be for a successful life. Learning should be totally practical. Learning should be totally for the preparation to face whatever challenges there may be in life fronts as per the change of time. Pragmatism, this way, we find that emphasizes on limited emancipatory or social discipline. Means coming to the parameter of discipline, we are not discussing about simply the methods of teaching, but also here in this class, we are discussing about the roles of teacher according to pragmatism. First of all, we have discussed about the methods of teaching. Thenceforth, we have discussed about the roles of teachers in the process of teaching as well as learning. And we are to know about the perception of discipline, perception of pragmatism relating to discipline. Pragmatism emphasizes on limited emancipatory or social discipline. Means we know so much well that discipline has special importance in the process of life. Discipline is such a process on which, success of our life depends. Pragmatism emphasizes on limited emancipatory or social discipline. Children should learn about the values of a democratic life, free life, democratic life. They are to learn the value of social discipline to live a democratic life in society. Students are to learn the discipline of group life because we live life in society in group. So group living is very much important, friends. Instead of becoming much concerned relating to our rights, we are equally or parallelly to be conscious and concerned, conscious as well as concerned for our duties, obligations towards our own self, towards the society we live in, and towards the nation we belong to. Now let us come back to the last stage. Perception of pragmatism concerning to school. Here in this class, first of all, we have discussed about the methods of teaching from the pragmatic standpoint. We have discussed about the roles of teacher or roles of teachers from the pragmatism, from the viewpoint of pragmatism. We have discussed about the concept of discipline from the pragmatic school of philosophy, and by discussing about the concept and role of school, we are to declare the end of our discussion relating to this most important, branch of Western philosophy. School should be a place of preparing. School should be a place of preparing the young learners for a successful life. Means school is to prepare every learner for a successful life, for a scientific life, for a democratic life. School should be a laboratory for the experimentation of the practical utility of knowledge. Pragmatism believes in utility parameter of knowledge. Pragmatism believes in scientific knowledge. And that's why pragmatism is also regarded as instrumentalism. Pragmatism is also accepted as practicalism. Means it is such a philosophy which believes in practical, experimental, instrumental knowledge. And that's why utility parameter of knowledge has special significance. If there is no utility of knowledge, then what is the meaning of knowledge, friends? It should be a society in miniature. Means our school should be a small society where we can get all information relating to social life. Students from various segments of society, you see, come to school and they make a new society in a particular class. From various parts of society they come and they become a very important group. Means they are a miniature society. All experiences and values of social life should be given to learn and develop in school. The responsibility of school is very much important because schools are to help students learn so much well everything about democratic exercise of life. School must have to help students to learn about social living. School must have to help students learn about group behavior. School must have to help students learn about universal understanding, the spirit of national integration, the spirit of international understanding, the spirit or the sense of belongingness is to be developed so much well in the school environment. This way we can declare about the end of our discussion relating to all the specifications of pragmatism, which is one of the most important schools or branches of Western philosophy, friends. And as this is the last class, in the coming class we are to discuss another school, that is naturalism, so much well, so that you can come to know or understand very much well the concept of education and other parameters so much well, parameters of education from the standpoint of naturalism. Thank you so much for today, friends.